What up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Thursday. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. A big thanks for making us a part of your morning. If you are already up and at it, whether you're listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, streaming online at our website at sportstalk1051.com. Video streams also up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, all those good places. We've got download the app, the Alexa device. That's what I was trying. I blanked on Alexa there. So you could also check us out on Alexa. Just say, "Yo, Alexa, play WAYY this morning." Oh, they did it. 12 in a row, man. Burgers. George Webb Burgers. Anybody's playing today, they're knows when they're gonna do it because they gotta prepare, for this and such. So, just don't plan too soon. Make sure you're following online or such. But, 12 wins in a row and a 12-5 victory yesterday afternoon for the Crew. And a shorter outing for Brandon Woodruff, a planned shorter outing, so nothing really to panic about. But Brewers jumped out to a 6-0 lead after the fourth inning, putting up 4 runs in the fourth inning. Pirates making it a little interesting, though, putting up 3 in that top of the sixth, but then the Brewers kind of shut the door down and put up 4 in the bottom of the seventh. And coming away with 12 hits, 12 runs, no homers for the Crew in this game. Caney getting credited with the win, but you had multiple hits and multiple RBIs from guys like Sal Frelick, William Contreras, who had 4 RBIs in this game, Yelich, 3 RBIs in this game, Joey Ortiz with a couple of hits and a couple of RBIs as well. Joey Ortiz, don't look now. He's been playing incredibly well in his last 98 at-bats, 296. Narrow it down just a skosh. His last 26 ABs, dude's hitting 385. 385, and he seems like he's coming up with some more clutch hits there too. So was actually, he's gotten a hit and this whole 3-game series. Got 1 the first game, 3 the other day, 2 yesterday. So a couple RBIs added to his line with the game yesterday. So Crew have the off day today before hitting the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. But we begin this Thursday morning with the Brewers sitting 7.5 games ahead of the Chicago Cubs for first place in the NL Central. 7.5 games above the Cubs. The best win percentage in all of Major League Baseball. The only team that's over 600 in win percentage is 633. Best run differential in Major League Baseball, plus 159. Home record, 22 games above 500. We already know they're 10 games above 500 on the road, 37-21 against teams with a 500 or better record. And the Brewers are going to have a chance to add to that category starting tomorrow, going up against the Reds. But we're pretty much, I'm going to say it, it's not quite 75. We're talking about like 74% of the way through the season. So we're just going to call it for today. But entering the final quarter of the regular season here. I know in a couple games, mathematically, it'll work a little bit better there. But since with the off day, and well, I mean, they're not going to have another off day here until September 2nd. So a grueling stretch coming up here. So we're just going to kind of combine it into one with this grueling stretch of games coming up here and entering the final quarter, the regular season here. Where's your confidence level that this Crew, this team, this Brewers team can continue with what they've been doing here? Can they continue this stretch run? How crucial is this upcoming schedule to close out the month of August and even leak into the beginning of September? Is this a season-defining portion of the schedule for the Brewers? Defining in terms of like, they get through this thing and they're still playing at the level that they're playing at. They come away with a winning record. They win a bunch of series. Defining as in like, oh yeah, they're going to win the division, possibly even get the top seed in the National League. You got Cincinnati, a team that's fighting for a wild card spot right now, a winning record. You know you're going to get your best out of them, especially over in Cincinnati, where right now the Reds 35-27 at home. So you know you're good. They're going to, they're trying to remain in that wild card hunt. As of right now on this Thursday morning, the Reds are one game back from that final wild card spot. Okay? So you know you're going to get a big test from them. And then, of course, that Cubs series. 5 games in 4 days. Again, no off days. Then you return home to the Giants, who right now, 5.5 back. So, I mean, they're falling here a little bit. They've lost 5 in a row here. But, Willie Adames returning and such. I think it'll still be a good test going up against the Giants. Arizona for 4 games. We know they've kind of been sellers and such, but really Arizona and the Giants, both 5.5 back from a wild card spot. And then that 3-game series in Toronto to close out the month of August, and then beginning September with Philadelphia at home in Milwaukee. So, how big is this a season-defining stretch run here coming up for the Brewers that'll start tomorrow with no off days? A lot of ball games in a lot of days as we enter this final quarter of the regular season. What's the biggest question you have with this Brewers team as we enter the final quarter of the regular season? Are we perhaps seeing maybe the best Brewers regular season of all time right now? They're on pace to break the regular season win mark in franchise history. They're on pace to do it. Are we witnessing it right now? I know it's kind of you're forecasting it here a little bit, but we're not that far off from closing the chapter. What, a month and a half left of the regular season here, for crying out loud. So, lots of Brewers talk coming at you here this morning, even with no game tonight. Recapping yesterday afternoon's win, and then again, kind of looking ahead to the final quarter of this regular season. We'll talk a little Joey Ortiz and just the run that he has been on here as of late too. We know about his defensive prowess, but what he is doing at the plate so far has been remarkable too. So we'll hit that up and talk about a couple of individual players here this morning. But you look across Major League Baseball as we kind of enter this final quarter of the regular season. You've got the Cubs that did pick up a victory yesterday against Toronto. So got that. Weren't able to increase that division lead just by a little bit, but still at 7.5. That's pretty comfortable here. Toronto leading the American League by a half a game over the Tigers. I mean, you look at the American League here, then you got Houston. All right, Houston's 3rd best record in the American League. Seattle, 4th best record in the American League. Then it's Boston. I mean, Boston's making a run. Then you got the Yankees coming in here. I mean, the American League's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how it's shaping up here a little bit, because Toronto's your top team division leader. Detroit's in there. Okay, Detroit, yep. Houston, yep, okay. But the Mariners right now are on a nice run. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're making things interesting for their division race against Houston. Boston, kind of, maybe before the trade deadline, a lot of people thinking, oh, they're going to be sellers. A lot of those names mentioned that Boston team as potential trade candidates. Here they are in the 2nd wild card spot. You got the Yankees barely holding on for life right now for that final wild card spot, for crying out loud. And then Cleveland, who's 7-3 in their last 10 games, they're just a game back. National League, it's kind of the same song and dance right now. Brewers, Phillies. But the Padres now 8-2 in their last 10. Winners of 5 in a row. are now in first place in the National League West. They've taken it over from the Dodgers because of this series going on right now with the Padres and the Dodgers. The Padres are in first place in the NL West. Cubs, Dodgers, Mets are your wild card teams. But the Mets have really been reeling here as of late, too. They're struggling big time. As we know, Brewers just swept them, which has kind of maybe opened the door here a little bit, too, for the Reds to just be one game back from a wild card spot. Heck, the Cardinals, I wouldn't even say, are fully out of it. They're just 4 games back, and they're going up against this Yankees team. So it's going to be, I think, this final quarter of this regular season, even if we just look at it from a Major League Baseball standpoint, it's going to be a crazy race to the finish here. So plenty of baseball talk coming up here. We've got the Packers will be back at practice today. They're in Indianapolis getting set for their Saturday preseason game against the Colts. But the Packers will be doing a joint practice with the Colts today for hitting the field on Saturday for their joint practice. So we got that going on. We'll do some outdoor chats with Jake Boak. So if you have any questions for our DNR warden friend, text those on over to us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Or you can hit us up on the video streams with that, and or hit us up on the socials over there too. So what are some of the questions you have for Jake? Send those on over to us right now so we can get those on over to Jake. So we'll do that about 8:30, so a couple hours from now. But let's get the leadoff going here this morning, all right? Let's talk some more Milwaukee Brewers. Happy Burgers. Again, it's not going to be the day. It sounds like they're going to come out with a statement and come out with a date and such so they could prepare for this. So, but if you're planning on making that road trip, just wait. All right, just wait here a little bit. But nonetheless, Brewers winning a dozen games in a row, continuing this amazing streak. And even yesterday, when it looked like the Pirates were inching a little bit closer and closer, in that game, the Brewers offense just plugging away, just making it difficult on opposing pitchers, for crying out loud. So we'll recap that game and look ahead to the final quarter of the regular season for the Brewers and for Major League Baseball. Brewers fans want to hear from you, though. All right. Hit me up with your thoughts. Text those on over. Tweet it, Facebook it, Instagram it, YouTube it, whatever floats your boat. We'll take our first break, and we'll be back after these quick words. Coming up this Sunday, it's the end of summer pavilion party at our good friends VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue, going on from 11 to 5 p.m. 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. They'll have beer, drinks, and food for purchase, as well as games, raffles, and fun for all. Celebrity bartenders all day, as well as a cornhole tournament. So you got some dunk takes going on over there too. So $5 for 3 chances at dunking either Donna and Andrew. They'll be in the dunk take too, not same time. So don't worry about that. Plus live music featuring Eddie Beavers from 1 to 4 p.m. So again, that's happening this Sunday, August 17th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And there's always a lot of stuff going on at our good friends, the VFW Post 305. Because even coming up in just a couple weeks, got a charcoal chicken meal going on over there too. So we've got we mentioned it yesterday. The card collecting club's got their events coming up in the beginning of September too. So a couple of other items you could put on the calendar. That charcoal chicken dinner, by the way, it's a fundraiser for the Eau Claire Memorial and Fall Creek Equestrian Team. That's going to be going on Sunday, August 24th and Sunday, October 5th, starting at 11 a.m. till it's all gone. $12 dine in or to go, 2-piece grilled chicken and sides. So again, that's helping to support the Eau Claire Memorial and Fall Creek Equestrian teams. That'll be next Sunday over again at VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. All right, we'll get things going off here this morning. Brew Crew picking up another victory, 12 in a row. So George Webb Burgers coming to a lot of Brewers fans. I think I saw the number. They're expecting maybe about 90,000 of those. No date yet when they're going to be doing that. So obviously, they've got to plan that all out and such. So, but George Webb did say yesterday that more details to come. And that, but the Brewers picking up 12 wins in a row with a 12-5 victory against the Pirates. Had multiple hits and multiple RBIs from guys like Sal Frelick, William Contreras, Christian Yelich, Joey Ortiz, a Brandon Woodruff going 4 innings and a planned shorter start for him because it was 4-day rest. But 4 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs for Brandon Woodruff. So the Brewers remaining undefeated at every game that Brandon Woodruff has started since his return. So Brewers now improving their record to 76-44, 7.5 games ahead of the Cubs for first place in the division. Still the best record in all of Major League Baseball, as we now are entering the final quarter of the regular season here, in a big stretch run here for the Crew when you look at that schedule, because they have the off day today, and their next off day is not going to be until September 2nd. So you've got straight up baseball and sometime, and even an instance of a doubleheader with that Cubs series coming at you next week. You got Cincinnati starting tomorrow, then those 5 games in 4 days against the Cubs. Then they return home to take on the Giants. Then you got the Cardinals after that. Then you go to Canada to take on Toronto for a 3-game series. And then you come home to take on the Philadelphia Phillies at the beginning of September. So that is quite the run here coming up here for the Brewers. And definitely be interesting to see how they go about it with some of the pitching matchups and such. It sounds like Jacob Mizorowski is going to be back for the Cubs series going on there too. So getting some guys back, getting some guys healthier, healthy arms back in that rotation here as well. But I hope they're enjoying this off day, because it's going to be a long time before they get another off day. Come up here, knock on wood, they don't have any rain delays for that Cubs series, and they don't have to try to make up any more of those, because that's the final time they'll be going up against the Cubs coming up next week. But first things first, got to take on a Cincinnati team that is still in the hunt as well. They're just 1 game behind the New York Mets for the final wild card spot in the National League. So the Reds are going to be coming in and trying to, well, giving the Brewers the best shot, because they're still playing for something here as well. We know the Cubs, Giants and Diamondbacks both 5.5 back from the wild card spot as of this morning. And then, of course, Toronto kind of competing with the Brewers for the best record in all of Major League Baseball. And then Philly, who is playing really well as of late here in the National League too. So kind of got a good mixture of different types of teams that the Brewers are going to be going up against in this stretch run. Is this a season-defining stretch run here for the Brewers, starting with this series against the Reds? Again, it's the Reds, it's the Cubs for 5 games, it's the Giants, Diamondbacks, and then you got Toronto, who's the best record in the American League. Then you got Philadelphia, who's again playing incredibly well and still a lot of people's favorites to come out of the National League this for this season to go to the World Series. So looking at this stretch run here, how crucial, how big is it? Kind of a season-defining stretch run here for the Brewers. What say you? Hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. I did see this too, Eli, with a quick text. I saw this. I think it was on one of the social media platforms yesterday. Joey Ortiz has been batting better than Pete Crow Armstrong. Pete Crow Armstrong is 3 for 37 in the month of August. Go Brewers, and the Cubs suck. So Joey Ortiz definitely playing a lot better in his last 98 at-bats. He's at a 296 average. If you narrow it down to just his last 26 ABs, he's hitting 385 with a 429 on-base percentage. His last 15 games, 339 with a 383 on-base percentage. So far this year, he has gotten his batting average up to a 231, which is just 3 points behind his career average of a 234. So after that incredibly slow start to begin the season, Joey Ortiz is kind of getting back to his career averages, at least from the offensive side of the plate. A couple more texts here to go here. 12. I think that's a lot of talk to text. I can't even decipher that one. So retry that one there, Chris. And then we've got Dave chiming in here, saying definitely think this is a season-defining stretch here for the Brewers. If they could come through this with a winning record and still playing like they're playing right now, there's nothing stopping this Brewers team from making a deep postseason run other than themselves from going deep into the postseason. So keep those thoughts coming. You can keep texting us again on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, and you can comment on the video streams or on the socials and such. So have you ever had a George Webb burger there, intern?
Oh, yeah.
Have you? Okay. Down in Milwaukee or?
Yeah, down in Milwaukee.
Okay.
I don't think there are any place outstate, are they? They're not around here. I'm not sure. I don't even think there's one in Madison that I've ever seen. So I think they're just around Milwaukee. But I was surprised you said 90,000. I think if you look back to 1989, they gave out 170,000. So I don't know. I know the price of hamburger is a lot more expensive now than it was back then, but I don't know if they're going to, I can't imagine they're going to limit it to 90,000.
I don't know if it's a limit. I think it's just, it's probably just
their expectation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's, I mean, is it Cedarburg has one? I'm trying to look at New Berlin.
Yeah, everything's around Milwaukee.
Yeah, there used to be one in Osseo, it looks like. Says George Webb restaurant permanently closed now, though. So I don't it's on the map. Apparently there was one back in the day. I don't know if that's accurate. That's according to Google here. So some of these are open 24 hours. I didn't know that. George Webb was open 24 hours. Oh, interesting. So
yeah, it's one of those, go to the bars, then go to George Webb.
Is there, there's one, where is this at? It is Peshtigo has one. So
that's go still way over northeast.
Yep. So maybe a little bit closer. I don't know how much closer, but yeah, that's about 3 hours closer.
Long way to go for a free burger.
Yeah, you might. I guess I wouldn't put it past anybody just to drive to get a free burger for a few hours. So there'll be some people that are going to be doing that. So you look at this stretch run. I mean, is it all Euchre magic right now? He's got the best seats in the house right now, sitting in the front row watching all this. It's pretty remarkable. You've watched Brewers baseball for a long time. Is this one of the most, if not the most, surprising, entertaining, fun, whatever you want to describe it, regular seasons you have seen so far for the Milwaukee Brewers?
Yeah. Because way back was that 89 when they won 13 in a row to start the season. Everybody knew that they weren't very good. It was just everything fell into place. and things are going well for the Brewers right now. But this is a good team. There's no question about that. Who's the most valuable player? I've got a receiver to fur. I was going to have a biggest turnaround and stable play helping this is from Joey Ortiz during this streak. I was down in Milwaukee for all 3 games against the Mets this last weekend, and I've never seen baseball like that. I mean, it was fun because my team won and exciting. And if you're a Mets fan, it was not good. But they've got a shortstop, Lindor, who signed a huge contract. And of course, you look at the scoreboard every time these guys come up to bat. Lindor is batting, I don't know, over the weekend he was 235, 240, and he had more home runs than Ortiz. But he's offensively, he's not giving them anything more than Ortiz is currently giving the Brewers. Now, over a career, I'm not trying to say Ortiz is better than Lindor, but right now, I wouldn't trade Ortiz for Lindor because Lindor made a huge error in that series that kind of cost him one of the games. So, we've got the hottest shortstop, I think, in baseball right now.
And maybe the hottest second baseman in terms of power too, with Bryce Terang's home run. So since you were at the game, we had a caller, Brian, the other day, who was at the game on Sunday, and he mentioned he's been going to Brewers games for years. I think he said since the 70s and such. And he said he's never been a part of an environment like that at AmFam Field. And Pat Murphy echoed that after the game. And it's one thing to hear it from the manager, but to hear it from, a fan and such. So I'll ask you, because there's been, really good. Last year was a fantastic season. You got 18, 11, 08 with the CC Sabathia craze. What was the environment like at AmFam Field?
Unlike anything I've ever experienced before.
Really?
It was just unbelievable. Everybody was in a party mood. It was rooting on this team. And, Friday night, I was sitting there and I thought, I saw that hit go to the other. Oh, no. And I kind of took my eyes off the field. And all of a sudden, the crowd was just going nuts with that Perkins throw.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, who doesn't get enough credit for that? Watch the replay of that.
Contreras.
And watch Contreras.
Mm-hmm.
He stood there like he was waiting for the bus. He was not standing like he was anticipating the throw. He wasn't down in a crouch. He didn't have his glove on. He was just standing there kind of looking around. And it did. That ball got to him, and it was bang, bang, catch and tag.
Mm-hmm.
Contreras should get a lot of credit for that play because,
Pat Murphy made sure to do that after the game too. He's like,
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he because he talked about it. He's like talked about how casual Contreras looked. He said, that might have given the runner maybe like and slowed down for a half second, which made all the difference in the world. So yeah.
And I don't understand. I don't know. Trying to think of the guy's name that was a runner because he'd hit a home run. He was their designated hitter, good player. His name escapes me. And he was on second base, and I was surprised that their manager didn't pinch run for him and put
Starling Marte, right?
Starling Marte, thank you. And I was surprised that the manager, maybe this guy is fast, but I was thinking maybe he'd put a pinch runner in there, but he didn't. And between the throw from Perkins and Contreras' tag, that was two of the greatest plays I've seen in one play.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
I almost like I get a little bit more jacked up on a play like that than a walk-off home run at times. You know what I mean? Like because it's such it's more rare, I would say.
Oh, absolutely.
To gun a guy out at home in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs.
You bet.
So
although they were both exciting because we had them both in the one weekend series.
Yeah, Isaac Collins on Sunday, especially being down 5-0 and then making that comeback and it's I know we've talked about it a few times, but the offense, it feels like it doesn't matter if you're 5, and that's what our caller said the other day who was at the game, even though when they were down 5-0, it still felt like that they weren't out of it. That you had the confidence that the offense can make that comeback and such. And they did. Even yesterday's game when the Pirates were kind of clawing back and such, like,
6-5. I
yeah,
was nervous.
yeah. And it's like, but then they have a 4-run 7th inning, another 4-run inning, where I think they lead the majors in how many 4-run innings so far this season? They had 2 of them yesterday. So
yeah, they did. And I've got to say, remember earlier in the year, I was down at a game and I came back and I said, I don't know, they're bringing these rookies up, Collins and Durbin. And I said, they don't have home run power. They have warning track power. And boy, have things changed since back in April and May to now we're into August. These guys can reach the fence pretty easily. I mean, that home run Collins hit, I mean, he hit it off a very good relief pitch. Their closer. And I mean, he hit that
Edwin
ball.
Diaz, yeah.
Yeah, he hit that ball. And, you just had the feeling that, is it going to get there? Is it going to get there? And all of a sudden, it's almost like Euchre blew it a little bit further over the fence, just out of Soto's reach. And so those guys are major leaguers, and that whole team is young major leaguers. Can you think? I don't know what their total roster payroll is, but compared to the Dodgers, compared to the Cubs, other teams like that, they're getting a lot of bang for their buck out of these guys.
Well, even, we've talked about maybe the lack of power, heading into the trading deadline. Do they need more guys with power and such? Post All-Star, so after the All-Star break, the Brewers are tied for the 9th most home runs in Major League Baseball right now.
That's not bad.
More home runs than the Chicago Cubs. Cubs are 21st right now post All-Star break. They're tied with the Angels in Baltimore. Seattle's 6, and they've got 2 big home run hitters on that ball club. Dodgers are tied for 6 too. So I mean, you look at it post All-Star break, Brewers have been hitting their fair share of home runs.
Yeah, Contreras went off, and
Yelly's up to 23 now.
Yeah, Yelly's up there. What a difference for Yelich, giving him that day off. And his bat was slow, and he came back just one day off, and it's like he went to Lourdes or something and got doused in the fountain at Lourdes and regenerated, because he's now hitting the ball hard.
Yeah. You look at his last 60 at-bats, he's hitting 333. His last 117, 282. He's slugging in his last few games, 586. At this point, it's the point now, too, when you got runners on and Yelly's up, you feel a little bit more confident that he's going to be able to get those guys across the board.
Even with 2 outs.
Yeah. Right. A lot of these guys, Ortiz with 2 outs and the clutch hitting. I mean, you go back to Sunday's game, that hit from Ortiz. I believe it was Ortiz that tied it up.
Yep. He had 2 big hits in that Sunday game.
Mm-hmm.
One down the right field line, one between third and short.
Yeah. A lot of these guys, Isaac Collins has been great with 2 outs. Caleb Durbin has been great with 2 outs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys have just been with the clutch hitting with 2 outs. You feel like the confidence is there. It's like, hey, we got a really good shot to get these runs if you got runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Like every single, even how many times did we see it where, okay, there's nobody on, but then these 2 out rallies all of a sudden from the Brewers, or the other day switching spots, double, extra base hits. It's a little old school and such, but I think it's obviously
baseball.
Working.
It's fun baseball. Yeah. It really is. And just think of the manager, Murphy, sitting there with cards in his back pocket. Miz has been out, and he's still, a work in progress, obviously. But Churio's
we were talking about that yesterday. You haven't heard anybody really saying, man, we really need Jackson Chourio. And that's not a knock on Chourio, but it's like, we really haven't heard a whole lot. Even yesterday during the game, they were talking about Miz coming back, and it was kind of an afterthought. They're like, and yes, Jackson Chourio is making progress too. But it's like, that's how these guys are just stepping up and playing incredibly well. How many other teams could say with their best player, one of their best players, missing an extended amount of time, and they go on a 12-game winning streak?
And I think this bodes well for Chourio. They're not going to push him to come back where he's 80%.
Mhm.
No, he's going to be 100% when he comes back because the rest of the guys have picked up the mantle and done what they're doing. And that's why you talk about this next stretch for the Brewers. How important is it? It's important, but just think how much pressure has come off this team because of what they've done. This,
Mhm.
what are they, 59 and 21 or something like that? It's just unbelievable. As I always say, the more games you win, April, May, June, July, you don't have to win in September and October. So that puts a lot of pressure on other teams.
Mhm. Yeah. They get a little bit of a little bit. I don't want to say gap, but a little bit of a grace. Obviously, you want them to still play it really
Breathing room.
well. Breathing room. Thank you. That's the perfect way to say it. So, but
I was talking.
oh,
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was talking to a Cubs fan, and the Cubs are frustrated. I haven't followed the Chicago media about their evaluation of this team and their manager, but I know it's probably not good. But I was talking to a Cub fan, it's kind of like Linus and Charlie Brown has always got a cloud above his head. Don't forget the Cubs in '69. Well, that was the Cubs in '69. It's not the Brewers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the Cubs fans I know have been pretty quiet after trash talking that one day to me when Miz started off pretty slow against the Cubs and then the Brewers came back and won, and I haven't heard from them since then.
No,
After they've
they're
been pretty quiet. Josh,
they're completely disappointed, and I
Mhm.
don't blame them. I
Mhm.
mean, we'll be disappointed if the Brewers don't follow through and finish this up. I mean, it's fun to watch them now, but the job's not done, and Murphy knows that. The players know that. They got a lot to do, but they've got a little breathing room.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Murphy's approach, and it's not just this year, it's been like ever since he's been manager, it's the approach that's working right now. Win tonight, not looking ahead to the Cubs series or to Philadelphia come in, or it's one game at a time approach. Win tonight. And that's exactly what this team has been doing. They've been focusing on the game in front of them and not so far ahead because really, we talk about like a trap series, right? I don't think we've really gone through that either, where it's like, oh, this is a trap series, sort of. Really hasn't felt like they've gone through that either this year, and I think it's because of that approach of one game at a time attitude.
And you watch the Sunday game against the Mets. We were sitting there, and I saw that starting lineup, and I thought,
It's the same thing, Brian, when he called it too. He's like, yeah, that lineup.
this is a giveaway game. But then, because of all the left-handed pitchers, Frelick was out, Terang was out, and the lineup was just not their number one lineup.
Yelly was out of,
Yelly was out. That's when he sat him out. But then, as the game went along, everything fell into place. We need left-handed hitters. Well, when you can bring Frelick and Terang in as pinch hitters, and you still had Yelich on the bench, who we never did use.
Yeah.
I mean, things are falling into place too for the Brewers because they started a lefty, so he sat as lefty, and it just works.
Mm-hmm. He's the maestro that's playing the right right chords right now a little bit, right?
Has he ever?
I mean, even like you look at the pitchers too, or the starting pitchers who have been getting them some innings, and then having a game like yesterday where you can just throw Tobias Myers out there to finish it off and not have to use, Abner Uribe, who was warming up when the game got close. And then you can sit him down and be like, nope, because we got this stretch run with no off days. We got to keep these guys fresh in that. And that's a credit to those starters, to those guys who have been able to do that as of late here, because they're going to need that bullpen, for these. And they're going to be going in, I would say, fairly healthy and pretty well rested coming up here.
And I watched Tobias Myers pitch over the weekend, and I watched him last year. And I'm not a pitching coach, but I've watched enough baseball. His ball doesn't seem to have the same velocity or the same break. Last year, when I watched him pitch, he came in and he was kind of like Miz, throwing that ball hard, and that ball was snapping. And now it's just kind of floating in there. And I don't know if it's a problem with his arm, with his mind, with his technique. I don't know. But it just looked to me like a different picture from last year to where he is now. I think he's still got plenty of opportunity, but I mean, I think he was topped out at like 97.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big guy like that. That shouldn't be his top.
I brought this number up yesterday, but I think it's still such a cool stat. Starting pitcher wins that were blown by the bullpen. So, starting pitcher leaves the
Mhm.
game in position to win. And how many were blown by the bullpen? Brewers have the fewest, just two this
Wow,
year,
that says something.
right? Just 2 blown wins by a bullpen this year. That's it. Fewest in Major League Baseball.
And we've got, what, 100 and some games in?
100 and what are we at? 120 in it right now, I think. Let me do
Really?
the basic, because we're about entering the final quarter of the regular season right now.
So we got 40 more games, approximately. If they go,
Yep, 120 in.
they go 20 and 20, I think they're in good shape.
Think about it. If they go 20 and 20, which is 500, they tie for the most wins in franchise history in the regular season. They're
Oh,
on
what do you
pace
mean?
to get over 100 right now.
Yeah.
The-
They're paced to get way over on
I think it's probably 102 right now was the last I saw, 102 or 103. But
yeah.
their
And
most
that's-
wins in regular season 96, and they're just
Yeah.
20 away from that.
And that's why you say how important are these upcoming series. I mean, they're great, but you don't have to sweep them. You win a series, you lose a series, you win a series, you lose a series, you win. They've taken a lot of pressure off themselves with this streak they're on, because with 40 some games left, the other teams are going to be pressing, especially the Cubs,
Mm-hmm.
to try and get back in this thing, because 8 games down now, who would have thought that month and a half ago?
Right.
And so they've helped themselves an awful lot already.
Yeah, I think this the main thing that we all want to see is like just keep that momentum going when it gets into October, that you're still playing
Absolutely.
your best baseball and still playing a high level of baseball once you get into October. So,
That's interesting, because Murphy has never been a major league manager before the Brewers. Granted, he was a coach.
he was an interim manager for the Padres for a hot minute, but that's
But I mean, so for
being the
him
full-time guy,
to take a team through the whole season, last year what he did, won the division by so much, and this year what these guys are doing now, he obviously understands how to manage for a whole season. And that's, I think, is unique, unusual, or just give him that much credit for being such a baseball guy, that he understands the game, the players, and what it takes for a whole season in Major League Baseball. College is a lot different. They might play 80 games, but that's half of a major league season.
Did you try any of the pocket pancakes when you were there on Sunday?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Apparently they were really good. So
That's what people saying. I didn't know what they were talking about.
Oh yeah, Murphy's.
Yeah.
Did you hear what happened after that fact?
No.
Oh, he did an interview during a game. It was on Apple TV a couple weeks ago, and he pulled out a pancake out of his pocket because he has snacks in his pocket during the game, and at that point it was pancakes.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he literally was eating pancakes out of his pockets.
Whatever it takes.
So,
better than chewing tobacco.
Yeah. So I mean, so they ran with that, because why wouldn't you run with that? He literally busted it out and gave Trisha, who was a reporter, and she took a bite out of it too. Literally pancake in his pocket. So, all right, we'll take a quick break and wrap up the first hour. Brewers fans, we want to hear from you. Continue to send us your thoughts. 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. When it comes to fresh quality meats, the first stop is always at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Their brats, snack sticks, steaks. You can taste the difference in every single bite. And with deer season coming up, remember, Mike's also does professional venison processing, so you know your hard-earned harvest will taste its best. Great cuts, great service, and a hometown pride. That's Mike's Star Market. Stop on in today and see why locals have trusted them for years. We've got really quick here, just because we only got 2 minutes left to the top of the hour. C-Bomb. Just think about how the Brewers are feeling. Everything's going good. They're rocking. They're playing free. On the flip side, the Cubs have been leading, and now they're reeling. They're pressing. They're frustrated. This is the best feeling as a Brewers fan I have ever had, and I love watching the Cubs crumble. The power of the pocket pancake. We've got here's a testament to how this is from Mark. Here's a testament to how well Ortiz is playing. Have you heard anybody complaining lately about not hanging on to Adames? One, my kid, because that's one of his favorite players. So that'll never stop going there. So Nick says just 26 more wins to hit my bold prediction. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Nick's bold prediction was 102 wins.
That's
so
aggressive.
well, not if you got 42 games left,
Well,
26. Yeah. So I never would have thought 100 wins for this team this year, but they're on pace for that. We'll see if that can continue.
Yeah, it's a surprising season, no question about that. But you look at Ortiz too, and as great as Adames was, I'm telling you, over the weekend I saw Ortiz make some plays that not a lot of shortstops could
Oh
make.
no, and I think that's why again Pat Murphy and the Brewers were really patient with him this year because of what he can do defensively. Because he's a wizard out there.
And I think he's getting so much confidence now, he might be the best number 9 hitter in baseball.
That's saying something,
It
considering
is.
what it was a
It
couple
is.
months ago
Yeah.
and
No, I
such.
mean, but he's putting the bat on the ball. He's not
Mm-hmm.
standing there looking.
Yep. All right, one in, couple more to go. Keep sending us your thoughts, Brew Crew fans. We'll get back to some more baseball talk. The final quarter of the regular season is nearly upon us. What's the biggest question, if you have one, about the Brewers as we enter this final quarter? Let us know. All right, here we go. Second hour kicking off for right now on this Thursday morning of August 14th. Reminder, we've got Jake Pokes joining us at 8:30. So if you have any questions for our DNR Warden buddy, send those on over via that Shoe Doctors bullpen texting line, 715-830-1912. Got those antlerless tags that are going to be available starting at next week. So if you got any questions with hunting season, still fishing going on, send those on over. James on our video stream says logic says that the Brewers will cool off eventually. But right now, I'm just enjoying the run. The last time I had this much fun watching the Brewers was the summer and fall of '82 when I was 9 years old. I so hope all of us can experience the World Series again for the Brewers, even though it was hard to see the Brewers lose to the Cardinals in 7. Still one of the strongest childhood memories. C-Bomb quick two for the first time ever. I don't know if I have questions about the Brewers. In years past, we knew they were a playoff team, but deep down, never felt like they could go get to the mountaintop. We were hopeful but realistic. Now that they are sweeping and dominating the top teams in the National League, the only question is, did they peak too soon, or is this not a peak? This is a team that is just that good. I think that's a good question. Is this a team that's just that good, or are they peaking?
I was going to say the same thing. There's so much. I mean, this took everybody by surprise, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know what their ceiling is.
I don't
I
either.
think we have to keep an eye on it. You can't predict it. You just have to enjoy the flow. You talk about, time. It's always the team, but I'm thinking back for my years of following the Brewers, which not an awful lot from day one, really. But one of the seasons that I really enjoyed following the Brewers was Paul Molitor's hit streak. When I watched that, I mean, that was must-see TV or must-listen on the radio to see, because when he got it up to 39, and I listened and watched, and that was one of the seasons. It wasn't great team success. They were good. But watching and listening and following Paul Molitor that year was maybe not quite as intense as my attention to detail with this team, but it was one of the most for me ever.
Yeah, if I were to rank them right now outside of this one, 08 stands out to me just because for my generation, that was the first time we experienced playoff baseball for the Brewers and the CC Sabathia run and such. I mean, we were all in college and pumped up and jacked up, and Packers stunk that year anyways too. That was the first year of Rodgers starting, and they went 6-10, and they kept blowing leads late in the games and such. So, but that was the era of like, we were just happy to get there. Just happy to be in the dance. Expectations have changed here a little bit over the years now too, which is a good thing. But it'll be interesting to see what that conversation's like at the end of the season, depending on how the Brewers do. Because I even go back to last year, how surprising it was, and credit to Luke for asking this question. What do you remember most about last year? It was the playoff loss.
Exactly.
It was Pete Alonso's walk off. It was Devin Williams not able to close it. And I felt like the worst dad in the world because I woke up Hudson. I'm like, Hudson, watch, the Brewers are going to move on to the playoffs. And then, it's like, oh boy.
And still, they'll play that video of Williams standing on the mound after Alonso hit that home run. And I don't know if that affected him going to the Yankees, because he is just a shell of himself.
Yeah. I think I saw a graphic. He's already allowed more earned runs this year than the last couple of years combined with the Brewers and such. So, I mean,
there's so much pressure when you become a Yankee. It really is. And everybody's human and everybody has feelings, and you have to feel that as a Yankee, and you've got to be somebody special to be able to overcome that. The Mantles and the Jeters and all the champions they've had. But Williams went over there and he's just a shell of himself.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously New York, it's the Yankees, but also, I mean, in a closing situation too, where all the eyes are on you're. Not just a regular bullpen pitcher. You are in you're in Mariano Rivera spot, really. So
the results of the game, it might be in the Milwaukee Journal or the Green Bay Press Gazette or the State Journal, but in New York, they get in the tabloids and the media there, and it's millions of people So it's a different world.
It's even like I know I mentioned this the other day. I was watching Sunday Night Baseball with the Cardinals and Cubs, and watching ESPN after it because I was doing some work and I just had it on the background. You know, their lead story was Tommy Fleetwood collapsing again, and then it was Brewers. It was the comeback win, but after that, it wasn't about the Brewers winning streak, and that it was about how bad the Mets are.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like it's how bad the Mets are right now.
I noticed that too, and it's so frustrating, but it's the way it is. I mean, that you got more eyes and ears that are Mets fans than Brewers fans, and nobody's hoping for a collapse of the Brewers more than the TV networks and the Foxes and everybody else. They don't want the Brewers in the World Series.
No, and you think about it. You look at the All-Star game. No position player from the Brewers in the All-Star game. They had one for the longest time. It was Freddie Peralta. And then, he couldn't pitch. So it's like, okay, Trevor McGill, got to replace him with another Brewer. And then Miz gets in because literally dozens of other pitchers said no. So they're like, okay, well, we're going to go with the Miz. You got the best team in Major League Baseball, and they didn't have a position player in the All-Star game.
Well, at that time, I don't criticize that.
No, I'm not saying either, but I'm just saying how much has changed,
right.
since then. And it's been, I think, the epitome and the definition of team baseball at this point. It hasn't been just one super, and it kind of goes back to our Jackson Cheerio thing. It's not a knock on him, but it's like, Yankees were without Aaron Judge for the longest time, and the sky was falling. Jackson Cheerio,
sky is falling on the Yankees.
Yeah.
With or without him.
They're only one game ahead for the final wild card spot right now. And you've got a Brewers team that loses Jackson Cheerio, who either the top best player, easily one of the best players, and it's like this team environment that they got going on, everybody's filled in at this point. It's rare, I think, you see in not just baseball, but sports in general to see what the Brewers are doing. Mizorowski is going to be Rookie of the Year. He's been missing starts. They're still winning, for crying out loud. So, unreal.
Collins is Rookie of the Year.
I would agree. I don't think he's going to win it. I think he should, especially
depending on how the season plays out.
I think the disadvantage, I know the latest odds have him third because the kid from Atlanta, which I think he's going to get extra help because he was named an All-Star in his rookie year. I think that's going to. I would argue, though, you've got a first-place team, a team that doesn't have any position players that made the All-Star game, a team with the best record in Major League. How do you not have him as Rookie of the Year?
And his contributions.
Right.
I mean, Sunday alone, just one example. But he's had a lot of other big hits. He's
defensively been great.
Defensively in left field. He's got to be up in there. I mean, you got to be real. The problem is the national media. I mean, if you look at it and, comparing apples to apples, not Milwaukee to Atlanta, he's got to be right there.
Yep. Surveyor says on June 18th, the Cubs and the Brewers were supposed to play. The Cubs had a 6.5 game lead in the division and looked like they were going to cruise to the title. Since then, they have gone 23-23 and have fallen from grace. Meanwhile, the Brewers have gone 37-9 over that same span. A cool down is not in the cards when you've had consistent baseball for almost 2 months.
And consistent leader. That's what I think is so amazing with Murphy, has been able to, you watch him in the dugout, you don't think he's doing anything, just sitting there watching the game.
Or you can tell once in a while he's joking around with his guys and such. But yeah,
obviously he's pulling the strings, hit and run, whatever the case may be, pulling a pitcher, putting in a pinch hitter.
I mean, you got Andrew Vaughn putting down a bunt who's been on a tear, stuff like that.
And he lets his coaches coach too. His pitching coach, his hitting coaches, he lets them coach. You watch the guys come back into the dugout if they strike out, and he might, tap them on the shoulder, but they put their bat and helmet away to walk down. And if they leave the picture on long enough, you'll see somebody going to talk to this guy, and it's not another player. And I don't know who all their coaches are, but it's a coach.
Yeah.
And so I think they've got a good relationship there.
I don't know if this means anything, but, it goes back to the last time the Brewers and Cubs played, and that image, when Vaughn hit the home run and Counsell turns around right away and makes a call to the bullpen and such. don't think I've ever seen Pat Murphy pick up a phone and go to the bullpen. Lets his coaches do everything
You know,
with that.
I think back on it, I think you're right. I don't think I've ever seen that either.
And I don't know if that means anything, but or that kind of goes to what you're saying, lets the coaches. I mean, Chris Hook it's one of those where it's like, hey, if you need something, you come to me then. Otherwise, hands off. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep doing it over there. So I don't know, but
Yeah,
and
you'd like to be a mouse in the corner to hear the conversation between these coaches and the manager, not only before the game, but during the game. When the Hook goes out to talk to these guys, is Murphy telling him something, or is Murph just saying, Hook, go correct him? You
yeah,
know,
right.
that sort of thing. And letting Hook make the decision of how to make those corrections to right the ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, but it sure seems like he's empowering his coaches and his players too. And you got a team now that's playing with all this confidence in the world, and that's an incredibly dangerous team to go up against.
It
So,
really is. And because it's not like the other team can say, well, we've got to stop this guy and this guy. You got 9 guys in that lineup you got to stop right now.
mhm,
Obviously, there are different levels, but really and truly, they've all contributed.
yeah, you can look at how many different guys on this roster and point a time where they've done something.
Hmm.
I think you can make a case for almost every single player. Blake Perkins, for crying out loud, talking. I mean, even a guy who just finally joined the team a couple months ago. I mean, it's all the place. So, Evil Surveyor says pulling Woody last night with an early lead was a good idea too. Say some of those extra innings for the postseason, and well, remember too, it was a planned shorter start for Woodruff. Pat Murphy said after the game, this is his first game on 4 days rest. And we want to make sure he'd come through okay. If that fourth inning was a little bit shorter and his pitch count was a little different, we would have let him go out for the fifth.
We
So
get to receive and defer. I want to get in a little conversation about that too.
okay. All right. Let's take a quick break. Keep sending your thoughts though. Brewers fans, text us 715-830-1912. We'll be back after these quick words. You know, when it comes to your home, nothing changes the look and feel quite like new flooring. And we can tell you from experience, when you need quality, service, and a team that you can trust, head on over to our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. They've got it all: carpet, luxury vinyl planks, tile, you name it. It's not just about the huge selection, it's the way their team takes the time to listen to help you find the perfect fit for your style, your needs, and yes, your budget. From the moment you walk in, you'll feel at ease. And when it's time for installation, their professionals handle it with care, precision, and respect for your home. If you've been thinking about updating your floors, now is the time. Stop in at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and see for yourself why they are the place that people trust for flooring done right. Carpet City Flooring Center, they'll floor you with service, selection, and savings. You know, kind of going back to the question we threw a little bit earlier, entering the final quarter of this regular season for the for baseball and for the Brewers and such. You know, Seabaum said first time he doesn't really have any questions surrounding this Brewers team. Would you kind of echo that right now, the way they're playing and what we've seen so far, and it's been for a consistent rate, that maybe there isn't really any questions you have outside of health? Everybody talked injuries, health, throw that away. Is there really any other questions we have from this Brewers team? Is this a complete team in your opinion?
Yeah, the pitching strong, starters, relievers. The defense, we talked early in the year. I remember we talked early in the year about their defense was not all that good. They were in the lower part of the major leagues, but I think that's improved dramatically. And the offense, I don't know who's going to beat you today or tomorrow, and neither do the managers from the other team. So I think we've got more answers right now than questions, and that's unlike many other teams.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, that there is more answers than questions at this point with this team. And is it, I guess, maybe an early, kind of receiver defer, but Brewers have more answers and questions than any other Major League Baseball team right now?
I think so, because you look at the Dodgers, I mean, they're kind of in a state of flux.
They're not even in first place anymore.
No, I know it. Yeah. And the Yankees, the Mets, you go on and on. Toronto's a nice team. I think the teams that are out of the spotlight are doing better than all these high-profile teams, high salary, high-profile media teams.
Yeah, I know Philly's playing well too. That'd probably be maybe the one I don't want to play right away with in the playoffs.
Good. I don't want to face Schwarber. Yeah. I mean, that guy can hit a wiffle ball 400 feet.
You're probably not wrong either there too. So, yeah, it's kind of weird to say. Like, I'll be honest, like I was even struggling to come up with a question, and I think I'd be kind of grasping at straws, to be honest with you.
The only question, I think maybe the biggest question they have, and these are the kind of good questions you got to try and answer. What do you do with a guy like Hoskins when he's ready to go? And maybe another guy or two when they get ready. I mean, Chirio's going to be in the lineup when he's healthy. That's a given. But is Hoskins? I mean, Vaughn,
you don't take him
red hot, but he's still very, very good and contributing every game almost. His batting average, RBIs, he's hitting some home runs. The guy, talk about a diamond in the rough when they got him. Man, oh man, he's come through.
Yeah, I think, that's going to be a question. Now, I know rosters will expand September 1st, which is coming up here, but you don't take Vaughn out of the line unless they do the whole lefty-righty situation. And I know Hoskins, with his success in the postseason in September and October, will probably, kind of come into play here too. But right now, Vaughn is the starter, in my opinion.
Yeah, and do you even activate Hoskins before September 1st and mess with the roster?
I don't know. I think, Jake Bauers is another guy, but I think he's kind of, there's no spot for Bauers. I hate to say that, but I mean, come on now. We got to play the cards right now. And right now that's Andrew Vaughn as your starting first baseman. So,
well, there's no question about that.
Yeah, you gotta roll with the hot hand.
And he plays a nice first base too.
Yeah. And again, that's another example of, we were talking about Devin Williams. You look at Andrew Vaughn, who was a high draft pick, first round pick. 3. Yeah. Coming in with all of this, but going to the right situation. And going to the right in any sport makes a ton of difference for these athletes and these players.
No question.
and he goes into the Brewers, and now they're printing. He's going to have his own T-shirt day coming up here in like in a couple weeks and such. I mean, just going into a support system and a coaching staff and a front office and all that. I mean, it makes the world of difference, and I think that kind of gets overlooked a lot of times. Just going into that right franchise.
Well, he went to the White Sox as the number 3 overall pick in the draft. A guy like that's got a lot of pressure on him. He came to the Brewers as kind of a, I don't want to use the word failure with the White Sox, but he wasn't a dynamic hero and a difference maker. There was no pressure on him coming to the Brewers. He was just going to be a fill-in until Rhys Hoskins gets better.
Yeah.
He didn't have any expectations. They thought, well, if he can help us a little bit, and he's helped them a lot.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to wish injuries on anybody and such, but if Rhys Hoskins never got injured,
we'd never have Vaughn.
Right. And he'd never be doing this stuff that we've been seeing right now, right? I mean,
and you go back in history and look at so many of these guys that, I'm thinking of 2 guys in particular. Carlton Fisk. He was minor league, average player in the minor league. The Red Sox brought him up out of desperation. We need a catcher. Let's bring him up. Well, he's in the Hall of Fame. And also the catcher played for the Dodgers, Piazza.
Oh, Mike Piazza.
Yeah. He was like a 30th round pick. And the only reason he got drafted is Tommy Lasorda was friends with his dad or something like that. So the Dodgers drafted him in like the 25th or 30th round. Well, look where he finished his career.
Mm-hmm.
So, just because you're drafted in the first round or the 20th round, there's a lot that has to be played out. Mm-hmm. Is he mature? Was he developed early like so many of these kids that are, grade school phenoms, and they're 5'9" by the time they're in 7th and 8th grade? When they graduate from high school, they're 5'9" or 5'8" still, and all the kids who were 5'2" are now 6'2" and 6'5". So, we all develop physically and emotionally at a different rate.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know what you're going to get. The draft in baseball, I think, is more of a crapshoot than any other sport.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, because for the most of the time, you're not going to see these top draft picks until a few years. Got in a trend the last couple of years where we see them a little bit quicker. The Paul Skeneses are the rare ones, or the Bryce Harpers when they come up, or even Ken Griffey Jr. and such. Those are the rare ones.
And there are some that come up right away
and
don't last. I remember for the Texans, a kid named David Hoff, I believe, a left-handed pitcher, came out of high school, and they moved him right in. I don't know if he stayed long enough to enjoy the team dinner.
Right.
But he had all the talent in the world at that age, but he didn't mature physically, and he didn't hang in there. So it's really an art to pick players that do become successful. I mean, the Brewers had good luck. Molitor was a first draft choice. I think Yount was too. But for every one of those, there's 10 that didn't make it.
Right. And, give them credit too to find these, but there are a lot of these guys too that are helping this Brewers franchise, are guys that were prospects coming in, whether they're draft picks or the Brewers traded for these prospects and kind of grown within their system and such. And now you got, I'll be curious to see, again, I think a lot's going to depend on how this thing finishes out, but will we see more teams maybe try to emulate a little bit of what the Brewers are doing? Possibly. I know I mentioned it the other day, but they had the Cardinals president on Sunday Night Baseball, and he made a note to mention, because the Cardinals this year probably not playing to the level they thought and such, and they were talking about the trade deadline and he made a point to mention, look at what Milwaukee's doing. We got to get back to doing what Milwaukee's been doing and building and kind of some homegrown talent and such.
Yeah, you can't win. I don't care who you are. You don't win every year.
Mm-hmm.
There are times where you got to take a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and reload, restock. And pretty much that's what the Brewers have done. And it's in every sport. Let's face it, Kansas City is not what they were 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Right.
in football. But if you can do it, if you got the right people that know how to do it, and the Brewers have been lucky, or whatever, lucky's probably not the right term, but they've had the foresight to find the right kind of people that don't panic. Some of these general managers, I don't know if they can operate without some of these unlimited budgets.
Mm-hmm.
And that, do they get lazy because of that? And they say, well, here's a headline player, let's go get him. Versus, well, here's 6, 8, 10 guys that are below water level, so to speak, of the high profile players. How do we decide which 2 or 3 of those might fit our program?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, where it really gets tough.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of joke about, but you look at what the Padres do. I kind of compare it to the Rams general manager from a few, Rams general manager, but a couple of years ago when they won the Super Bowl, it was like, screw them draft picks. They were trying to get, it's kind of what the Padres are doing. Screw those prospects, screw those picks. They're just trying to bring in guys to play right now. And, as much as we kind of get annoyed with the Dodgers and that, they have the number one one of the top ranked farm systems in Major League Baseball too. So they're doing that right somehow.
Oh, yeah, they got unlimited funds.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch these teams, they've got those high rated players in the minors. But then a major league player will come available.
And they ship those over.
They ship those guys for that one guy. And then those young kids gradually grow into pretty good Major League Baseball players, if not great players. But they don't have the patience.
It's almost
the public doesn't, their fans don't let them have the patience.
That's true. It's almost like I'll try to use a farm analogy here. So they're growing the crops and then they're shipping them off to we're gonna build these guys up and all that, and then they ship them off to get something that'll help them out right now.
Harvesting the corn too early.
There you go.
It's not finished yet.
Right. And they've won a ton of games and they're the defending champs right now. So I mean, if there was one way to go about it, building teams and all that, everybody would be doing it right now. And sports would be boring at that point. So,
but the way the landscape of sports are, the landscape of the country, Green Bay, Milwaukee, they're not Los Angeles, they're not New York, they don't have the media outlets. The NFL has the salary cap and the shared revenue. Baseball doesn't have that. That's why you have to admire the baseball general managers, owners that are committed to winning, but they've got to do a different way than the Dodgers and the Giants and the Mets and the Yankees and some of those teams can do. Seattle, they're another example of a team. I don't think their roster pay is out of this world, but they're right in it. I don't know what their salary is compared to the Brewers, but they're right in the fight for that Western Division in the American League with Houston.
Seattle, actually, so total payroll, Seattle is the 11th most in Major League Baseball. Just compare, Brewers are 20th right now. But there's a huge difference if we do. So that's the active payroll. Total payroll, Brewers drop down to 23rd, and then the Mariners drop down to 15. So, active, well, they acquired, remember what they did at the trade deadline. So obviously their payroll went up a little bit more for the active. So yeah, total payroll, they dropped down to 15th, which is, there's 30 teams in the league. You could do the math. So
yeah, and I think you've got to credit those kind of people rather than the Dodger general manager. Is he the general manager of the year because his team won the World Series last year?
Yeah, that's where we're, going and really kind of getting ahead of ourselves right now. I give more credit to Matt Arnold, who won Executive of the Year last year. If you're looking ahead to who's the odds-on favorites for this year, I give more credit to an executive for finding guys like a Quinn Priester, making a move to acquire a Quinn Priester, and maybe got a little lucky with the Andrew Vaughn one because Aaron Savali wanted to be shipped out, and he got something in return there. But you look at the other guys, I give more credit to a guy like Matt Arnold for that than somebody who just signs a check to bring in big time free agent. That to me is an executive of the year. Same with Pat Murphy. Pat Murphy, I think, should be the favorite to be the first. This is kind of crazy. First manager since Bobby Cox to go back to back for managers of the year.
They keep this up, there's no choice. If
You
he's
can't,
not,
right?
there'll be a revolt.
You can't. I mean, it's if they finish in first, how do you not? Like, I would love to listen to some writer who would vote and go with somebody else and hear their reasons and just shake my head because how do you not vote for Pat Murphy again? You can't. It's a
I have
regular
no
season
idea.
award, so you can't say postseason. It's a
Nope.
regular season award. It's just
But you look at the National League and who's leading the divisions, Dodgers and San Diego,
mhm.
they bought those rosters.
Phillies are leading theirs. They
They
got that
bought that
second highest
roster.
payroll.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep. Mets, we know how much if they could come
Oh,
back into it. So
every time I watch Soto come to the bat, $700 million is all I can think.
mhm.
And it just is amazing
Mhm.
how much money some of these guys are making. It
And
really is.
and even going back to Matt Arnold, you look at the rookies of the year. I don't know if Isaac Collins will win it, but you look at the odds. You have 4 Brewers that are top 6, top 7 for odds on favorite for rookies of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's Isaac Collins, it's Jacob Mizorowski, it's Chad Patrick, and it's Caleb Durbin. Those 4 guys are in the top 10 for odds for National League Rookie of the Year. 4 Brewers players.
It's interesting. I wonder how many other times there have been 4 players from one team in the top 10 consideration for Rookie of the Year, Most Valuable Player, Cy Young, any of those major awards.
Mhm.
That's pretty special.
Yeah. And again, it kind of goes to you can look at those 4, even Chad Patrick, who's in the minor leagues right now, but he had a hand in helping this ball club be at a position where they're at when they were decimated by injuries in that
Mhm.
starting rotate, and he was pitching incredibly well too. So
He really was. And, right now it's, problem is too much,
mhm.
really and truly. And you hate to call it a problem because you don't want to be kind of gloat. But let's face it, they've got a lot of weapons right now. And if they can keep them healthy, like I said, if they go 20-20, they're going to win that division.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I
Because
hope
I
it's
don't see
more,
the
but
Cubs having enough arms to put together the kind of streak that they would need to have right now. And Pete Crow Armstrong has fallen off a cliff.
yeah.
He's batting about, what, 190 for August or something like that?
They pinch hit him Sunday night.
Yeah. Since the All-Star game, he's really fallen off. And
Yeah.
I always enjoyed, I think the kid's potentially a great player. I don't know what his problem is now, but he was kind of the center point of their run to first place
Mhm.
because he was getting all the attention. And I remember I had a receiver defer earlier in the season that National League MVP. Is Otani a lock or is Pete Crow Armstrong going to get some votes? Well, he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth. He was the leadoff hitter. Whatever for a right lefty situation. They still pinch hit him for Justin Turner.
Yeah, and that
If you're an MVP candidate, it doesn't matter if it's a righty or lefty.
Exactly. That had to hurt his confidence, and I imagine he might be like Savali. Trade me.
All right, let's take a break, and we'll wrap up the second hour with some receive or defer coming up after these quick words. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire makes grocery shopping simple. You'll find fresh produce, quality meats, a full-service deli, and a bakery with something for everyone. There's a wide selection of everyday essentials and plenty of ready-to-eat options when you're short on time. And if you're planning a special meal or you just want to unwind, their wine and spirits department has a great variety from local craft beers to fine wines and top-shelf liquors. It's everything you need in one stop, whether you're planning a big meal or just picking up a few things. See the difference today by shopping at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Jamie on our video stream says Hoskins and Yelich are both guys that can single-handedly win a postseason series. Vaughn seems to be turning into that too. I assume you take the defensive downgrade and Yelich starts playing more left field. Vaughn, Hoskins, DH first base. Perkins probably the odd man out once Cheerio's back. I'd probably defer on that because I don't want to bench Isaac Collins. I don't know about you.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously thinking about the future, but I don't know that I would endorse that.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'd, I don't want Isaac Collins to sit down, and I don't think, no. I like Yelly at DH. I think he's played well there.
Oh, that's where he belongs.
Yep.
You can't. Collins, he's a young player, and I don't think you want to take a chance on disrupting his confidence.
Yep.
Because right now, his confidence is through the roof.
And I think
you set him down, put Yelich in left field, you're telling him that, I don't know what you're telling him, but it's not good.
I think, honestly, it's probably going to be a lefty-righty situation when it gets to Vaughn and Hoskins when Hoskins comes back up. You play the pitching matchups at that point. So it is,
well, they're both right-handed hitters, but
that's true, yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do that. But
yeah,
it's going to have to be Murphy's
split
field.
Stats. And you know what? Yeah, you're right. And I trust Pat Murphy to make that call because he's been doing a pretty darn good job with it.
I think so. And we're glowingly talking about the Brewers, and rightly so. But, across the river, the Twins, you almost feel sorry because they're in a tough situation. What they did, that salary dump at the trading deadline, the fans are really disenchanted. And now I see the Polad family has said they're going to retain ownership.
Yeah.
Bring in some other partners, whether that means a lot of money in there, but the fan numbers are way down this year, or down, I shouldn't say way down, but they're down this year. The attendance is down. So while the Brewers are going in one direction, the Twins, unfortunately, are going in another direction, because you think of Minneapolis, St. Paul. To us, that's a major city, major market. But as far as Major League Sports, doesn't translate into that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Twins fans not happy with the news yesterday.
Yeah, but the Polad family is going to hang in there.
Yeah, but they're going to have, what did they say, temporary investors and all that, which, I mean, temporary investors.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what that is. If I'm investing in a Major League Baseball team, it's not like I'm throwing $10 a week in there.
Right, exactly.
It's not temporary.
Right. So, yeah, I don't think I saw a Twins fan yesterday saying, yes, fist pumping, like, good news. So.
And that's too bad, because the Twins have a rich history. They've got 87, 91. They've got world championships. I mean, they've got, Kirby Puckett and Joe Mauer and Kent Herbeck and Morris. I mean, to me, still, that performance of Morris in the World Series in 10 innings was one of the best pitching performances I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Receiver defer time. What you got?
Let's talk pitching here.
All right.
Receiver defer. And this popped into my head yesterday as I was listening to the game and watching, but they need, Major League Baseball, receiver defer, needs to at least look at the requirements for starting pitchers to qualify for a win. And I know you got to go 5. That's the rule. Is it right? They said yesterday, well, Woodruff only went 4. So that means the official scorer had to pick the winning pitcher because the Brewers were always ahead. So who gets the win? I just think that's ludicrous that Woodruff could not be considered for the win. 4 shutout innings. I think it's ridiculous because you look at the situation in Major League Baseball. What's happened over the past few years as far as starting pitching is concerned? They've de-emphasized it. The contracts for starting pitchers aren't there. The relief pitchers are getting more. I pitch 4 2/3 innings, and the game goes to the point of, okay, in the 9th inning, you bring in a reliever. He gives up the go-ahead run. Your team comes to bat, scores 2 runs, and wins the game. And this guy is the winning pitcher? That's not right.
Mm-hmm.
They've changed these rules, and I think they've got to change or the structure of baseball regarding the starting pitcher. And I think they've got to be able to consider Woodruff as the winning pitcher yesterday.
Oh, I would agree with that, and I'll add a little bit more to it as well, because it's then they award it to the most effective relief pitcher.
Yeah, and that's a subjective decision.
Right.
It's not based on the objectivity of the game.
I think, and I don't know if this is the greatest example, but I'm just going to say it. If you can charge a pitcher with a loss after 4 innings or less, like Paul Skeens only pitched 4 innings and got charged with a loss, why can't you credit the starter that goes 4 innings and they maintain the lead after that?
Bingo. I agree with you 100%. I just think that rule is outdated because the game has changed so much as far as pitching is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to re-look at that. But I don't hear anybody talking about it.
No.
It's just accepted. You don't go 5 innings, you can't get the win. You pitch 2/3 of an inning and guy hits a home run and you get a blister and you can't pitch. And you all of a sudden you leave the game 1-0. Your team loses 12-7. You get the loss.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. I don't like how they figure that out and decipher all that. It doesn't make sense to me. So,
and it really triggered because I was just listening along and 4 innings. I know he can't get the win, but now the official scorer can decide who the winning pitcher is. That's bull.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't happen.
No, I agree.
So anyway,
I receive it.
All right, good. So do I. I wish other people in power would receive it. You and I receiving it doesn't mean much, but
well, because I'm assuming too, some of these guys, it's probably in some of these pitchers' contracts. Hey, if you reach these amount of wins, you get a bonus and such, and then you got somebody deciding whether they get a win or not. So I mean, it affects that.
Pitched beautiful baseball since he's come back, and he deserved to have that win yesterday.
I agree. All right, what else you got?
Well, I had Joey Ortiz, like I mentioned, has really been one of the top 2 or 3 players in this, especially after watching him this weekend in the batter's box. He went up there aggressive, not passive like he had earlier in the year. And, he's using the whole field. I don't know if he couldn't catch up to some of their fastballs, so it went into right field, but whatever it did, it got there.
Yeah, no, I just you look at this Brewers team too, and there's the physical size of these guys is nothing to, Frelick and Collins are 5'8", Joey Ortiz, Terang. I mean, there's not these big, no Prince Fielders or anything that on this. I mean,
they're 5'6", 5'8", but by golly, they make a difference.
Caleb Durbin's the same way too. So it's they don't have those big bruisers in that lineup. I love it. Well,
that Durbin, I think he'd step in front of a train to get on first base. He gets hit all the time. He doesn't move.
No.
That's why that game Saturday, they win. Guy gets hit in the foot with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it takes to win.
Yep. I agree. Did you have any more?
No, that was it. I was really fired up over this pitching decision thing. That was one that I really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think especially you're talking about Paul Skeens still might win the National League Cy Young, and he's going to have a losing record like Jacob deGrom did, a few years ago too. The wins and all that sort of stuff. It's just, it's kind of crazy. That's why we're never going to get a 300 win pitcher again.
Oh no, and it's one thing like the game the other day that Skeens, he was down 4-0. It's not like he's getting beat 1-0.
Right.
With DeGrom,
some of the other games
getting beaten 1-0 because the Mets couldn't score to save their life for him.
There's been other games like that for Skeens.
But I mean, the Brewers beat him.
Oh yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Skeens came in with a sub-2 ERA and he had a losing record in that game.
Yeah.
It's.
Oh, I think he's too. I agree with you. He's a great pitcher. but the Brewers did beat him the other day. It's not that the
No.
Pirates couldn't
Yeah.
score. The Brewers beat him.
I just like it that we're talking about the Brewers are a thorn in Paul Skeens' side, apparently.
Yeah.
So whatever they got, they've at least in the last couple games they've really attacked him and gotten to him. So
Yeah, they have. He probably doesn't want to see Milwaukee anymore.
probably not. So Pittsburgh, if he wants to get out of the division, that's fine. Go or join Milwaukee too.
It's only a matter of time before he leaves the division or signs with the Cardinals or the Cubs.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Pittsburgh's not going to sign him. They're not going to put that much money in one player.
No. And that's another topic for another day. I mean, it's just we've
that
talked
has
about
to be
it.
Another situation. I don't know if the Pittsburgh, and I never follow the Pittsburgh media. I don't know if you do, but does the Pittsburgh media ever talk about throwing these owners overboard?
I'm sure they do,
because this is year after year after the rich history they had when I grew up watching Clemente and Mazeroski and Dick Groat and on and on and on, Willie Stargell. And it was, it's just a litany of great players.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't had any since.
Nope. I agree. I only got a minute left here, so we'll maybe do some more coming up just past the top of the hour here.
Time's flying.
Yep. We got Jake Boakes, the last call for any questions coming up at the bottom of the hour for hunting, fishing. If you want to ask a DNR warden a question, text them on over 715-830-1912. No question is a dumb question. So send those puppies on over. All right. So we'll get to that. We'll do a couple more receiver defers coming up just past the top of the hour after we get to some news updates. Hey, we've gone 2 hours and we haven't even talked Packers. How about that? Packers going to be.
I don't know anything about the Packers because of the Brewers. I haven't followed. The only thing I know is Love hurt his left thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I have no idea what's going on in Green Bay. Obviously, not a lot after that first preseason game.
Yeah, they're in Indianapolis. Joint practice today with the Colts before their Saturday game for preseason number 2. So, but that practice is going to be at 1:50 today. 1:50 today. So a little bit later this afternoon. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in 10 seconds. Again, last call for any questions for Mr. Boakes. Text those on over. That's the easiest, quickest way to get them on over so we can send those on over to Jake. So 2 in, 1 more to go. News updates, and we'll be back right after these quick words. All right, final hour on this Thursday morning coming at you. Big thanks for tuning in, whether it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM online, sportstalk1051.com, your Alexa devices also. Bottom of the hour, Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin, will be joining us answering your questions. So again, final call. If you want to send any of those on over, just hit us up with a quick text, 715-830-1912.
You mentioned Alaska and how technologically advanced I am on your Alexa device. I've got an alarm clock that my son's bought me. It's an electric alarm clock, and they set it for me, and it goes off, and I got to get up in the morning. And you got to talk to it to shut it off. And you got to have that name. And the other morning, I woke up, and I couldn't remember Alexa. It says, Anna, alarm off. And I bet I used 5, 6, 7, 8 different names. I couldn't remember Alexa. And so I just walked out the door. I don't know how long it went before it shut itself off. But I better have to write myself a note. It's Alexa, dummy.
And everybody listening on Alexa is probably just like cussing at you right now for saying, stop saying Alexa, because theirs are going off right now. So, yeah, all you have to do is say, yo, Alexa, play WAYY. Couple more receiver defers I want to throw to you. So what are you doing 2 weeks from today? Do you remember what you're doing 2 weeks from today?
I'm leaving Monday for Alaska, and I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to be back. What's the date? 2 weeks from today?
August 28th.
Oh, I'll be back. What is August? I don't know.
You won't be at Camp Randall for the opener between Miami, Ohio,
Thursday
and
night.
Wisconsin
Thursday
Badgers.
night.
Yeah, Thursday night football.
Now there's a developing story, and boy, is the jury out on that.
Receive or defer, because this is straight up for you, because you are a season ticket holder, you are an alum, you have followed Badger football for a very, very, very long time. Receive or defer, this is the least you've been excited about a Badger football season that you can remember.
Since the horrible teams of whenever they were back in the late 70s, I have to say yes. Just because there's no enthusiasm for this team. It's not like, well, there's nobody talking about how good these guys can be. I'm really nervous. And I think if I'm nervous, McIntosh and Fickle ought to be real nervous, because are we going back to the Don Morton years when they changed the program? I don't know. Yeah, but I am not enthusiastic about this year. I'll be rooting hard, but I'm not enthusiastic.
I'm not enthusiastic either. I hate to say that, but it's like, I mean, that should kind of tell you right there. You know, hey, what are you doing 2 weeks? What's going on 2 weeks?
Yeah, I never thought about it, the truth.
Kickoff.
But, you look at what was McIntosh thinking when you schedule games against Alabama. You're scheduling a loss. Let's face it. We're not in that category. And I remember just the other day watching, I don't know, the Big Ten Minnesota. Well, their preseason games are okay, but they'll probably win them all and at least have a good chance of winning them all. I mean, if this Badger team would upset Alabama at Alabama, I mean, the season's over. Cancel the season. We've done something that nobody thought we could do, including ourselves. I just don't know what McIntosh was thinking. That stadium is going to have, I don't care whether you're playing Miami of Ohio or Alabama. At Camp Randall, you're going to have 75,000 plus people in that stadium. What more do you want? And now the concern is, and I've heard unofficially, I don't know what RJ says down in Madison, but there are a lot of people that didn't renew season tickets.
Oh, yeah. He talked about that a couple weeks ago. Because there was like promos on TV, even saying like 3-game packs and all, trying to.
Never hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's mentioned that too.
Because when you go to the game, I don't know the last time you've been to a game, but one of the things they put on the scoreboard screen before the game is Barry Alvarez. If you haven't gotten your tickets now, you better get your season tickets, because it won't be long and there might not be any season tickets available. Well, it started last year with my seats where I sit, and I'm on the 30-yard line, so I'm not 50-yard line or anything like that. There were games where I could have laid down in my seats. There were that few people there. It's not a good trend.
No, I mean,
McIntosh has to be nervous, the athletic director.
I mean, you're more of a Badger football diehard than I am, but I mean, I remember it was like, that's kind of like an event like to go to, and like, oh, we got tickets, we're going to go. And is it losing a little bit of that luster right now? I think it is. You know, it kind of is.
It's still a party.
Bit. Yeah.
And they're going to have a lot of party people there. But when the rubber meets the road, it's how many of those people that are partying are actually going into the stadium.
Right.
And if that drops off to an average of all of a sudden, you're getting 65, 70,000 person average. Over the course of 6 games, you're talking 50,000 people. You're talking $70, $80, $90 a ticket. That's real money.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to put up with it for long.
No. I mean, it's all about the moolah.
Absolutely.
That's what drives it all. So, yeah. Gosh,
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. I'm hoping we're like just kind of setting the bar really low, and that we get a couple of big wins, and then that'll be a successful season, in my opinion. If they can beat one of, it is a brutal schedule.
And we're talking McIntosh and Fickle, and and I know the guy, but Paul Christ is to blame. Big part of the blame goes on Paul Christ, because the last couple of years he just coasted.
Kind of checked out, do you think?
He checked out. He didn't get into a momentum of the transfer portal. He just didn't want to get involved in it, and he was just coasting. And to bring that back up, I don't know what it's going to take, but it's going to take a lot, because they're behind the 8 ball right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not getting the best Wisconsin kids to stay here anymore. And that's what Alvarez said. When Barry Alvarez came, we're putting a wall around Wisconsin. Our good players, our best players aren't leaving Wisconsin. Well, you look at tight end at Iowa, Wisconsin kid. I mean, they're the lineman from Ohio State. He says, I don't want to win the Holiday Bowl championship. I want to win the national championship. He went to Ohio State and he won a national championship last year. The best kids are getting out of Wisconsin, and it's only increasing.
Well, I mean, since we're talking about Wisconsin and Athlete State, should give a shout out women's basketball landing the
Rice
Lake girl Adeline Shepley 2026 class. So big win for I know a new coaching staff in there, but good to see. That again, keeping the talent in the States.
But I saw the blurb on TV, and in fact, I saw it was down in Madison over the weekend, and she said that she really developed a bond with the new coach, and the new coach, she has confidence that the new coach is going to build a winning team, and it starts by keeping the best players at your school in your state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was reading a little bit earlier too, and I brought it back up, but there were major programs like Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Michigan, Oregon, Marquette, Utah, Oklahoma, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Northwestern, Ole Miss, all made pitches too. I mean, that's one of those players that probably could have picked, or literally could have picked wherever she wanted to go. So
yeah, and I don't know what she got, because they're getting more in a scholarship now, with the NIL and all that stuff. I know last year the young girl from McFarland who went to Iowa, her family got a couple of cars, and another young lady from down that way went to Iowa. We got to keep those kids in Wisconsin. McFarland, you can walk to the Kohl Center and go to a game just about. I mean, it's that close. Those kids can't get away.
That's where, again, I give a ton of credit. I know he's kind of for some, not everybody, but a ton of credit to a guy like Greg Gard, who completely adjusted how to go about college basketball and try to stay competitive. The international kids, bringing in different styles, bringing in these coaches and such. I give him a ton of credit for being willing and knowing he has to adjust to that.
And he, not only in how he recruits and who he recruits, but like you said, the style of play. I mean, Wisconsin had more games in the 80s and 90s last year than the whole career of Bo Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is. You got to change. These kids aren't going to play 30-second basketball and then shoot.
Right.
They want to go. That's what the game is nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. Really quick, by the way, before I forget, so I can close this out. If you want to know, noon today, George Webb is going to announce what day they're going to be doing the burgers. Here's some numbers: 25,000 pounds of meat have been ordered. 100,000 plus burgers will be dished out. So
I was going to say 25,000 pounds. If these are quarter pounders,
they looked
that's
pretty small on
100,000.
the TV. So I don't know, but yeah, I would say quarter pounders probably.
I wonder if it's going to be till they're all gone, or everybody that wants a burger is going to get a burger. There's a lot of difference there.
Yeah.
25,000 pounds of burger.
Yeah.
And is that the limit? They're not. I don't feel they're living up to their obligation if that's what they do.
You know what's going to happen? Somebody's going to stay in line. There's going to be people camping out, right? We know this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure, everybody's going to get one burger.
Yeah. We're going to see them on eBay. People are going to keep that. I think there's somebody, when the first time when the Brewers got close this year, somebody got one of those burgers and they keep it in the freezer from, I think, 18, I think it was. Somebody's gonna sell one of these on eBay. You know it, and somebody's gonna buy it.
I would imagine, but it's like your wedding cake. Put it in the freezer and eat it on your first anniversary. Well, you're better off eating the cummerbund off your tux because it doesn't taste very good.
No. What would get you to either drive a few hours away or, wait in line for hours upon hours like it's Black Friday? Is there anything that would get you to do that?
No.
I don't think there is.
Not for a hamburger. I mean, it's
anything though, like
the uniqueness of it, and
tickets to a certain game or anything. I don't know if I would even do that. I just no.
It's not like if you don't get the tickets, you're not going to miss it because it's going to be on some, YouTube or Peacock or wherever, live TV even.
It's the college kids at Shashevskyville camping out and all that stuff. Yeah. But I feel like at a point, though, those are almost just for the experiences of saying, I did that. I went and did that. How much do they really care about, like, actually wanting to go? They're going to go to, but it's like, yeah, I camped out at Shashevskyville to get tickets for North Carolina Duke, just to say you did it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame the kids for that. That's what's fun about it. But no, I'm not going to drive very far to get a free hamburger.
But it's a good. Do you think receiver defer? Is it one of the better, least not as popular, but one of the better unknown sports traditions? The burger giveaway.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That happened since '89. George
or
Webb's,
18. It happened too.
2018. Or 18. Yep. 18. But no, it's great.
I like it when it's rare like that.
Yeah, because they start talking about it when it gets to be about 7 or 8. They can win, and so that's a whole week of free publicity. And so, yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's fun. Those kinds of things are just fun. They really are. And I give George Webb's credit because it changes their production, no question about it. And 25,000 pounds of hamburger. How are you going to keep that fresh? That you don't put that in the refrigerator. 25,000 pounds. They got to have a truck parked outside that you can plug in, to keep cool.
Or maybe the cows are just sitting out back and ready
to donate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we always say about what happens to a milk cow when she gets old. Well, she changes careers, and and she's probably part of the George Webb giveaway now.
I loved Brandon Woodruff. I don't know if you heard him after the game, but he acknowledged he was nervous for that start yesterday because of the burgers.
I would be too.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the players knew. I mean, they all knew it.
Oh, yeah. And I'll bet when he got ahead 4-0 and they took him out after the 4th inning, he sat down and said, "Oh, thank God I'm through that."
Right? It's fans they're crazy about stuff like that.
Oh,
even basketball, there's a couple teams that'll do like guy misses a free throw or makes a free throw, everybody gets free chicken for crying out loud.
Yeah, I don't know where that is,
but it's kind of nuts at that
but
point.
There were, it was funny because I brought you when they gave the Yelich bobbleheads away the other day, and but it was funny when you get into the stadium. We got in there. There were a couple of guys. Do you want to sell that for $5? And you should have seen the pile of Yelich bobbleheads they had. They were giving $5 to people,
And I guarantee you they went on eBay to try to get like 50, 60
Oh,
bucks
I'm
for
sure
them.
they will.
Yeah.
Especially if they win the World Series or something like that, or he has a big hit to win the pennant. But it was funny because there were a lot of people selling those bobbleheads. But I knew how much you wanted it. So I brought it back for you.
Well, you know whose day you made. He's across the wall right now because that's the one
old buddy.
That's the one player he doesn't have.
Oh, really? Well, good. Yeah. He wants another one. I got another one too.
But because we were, those things, we were at the pro shop for the preseason game. They're like $55 now for a bobblehead, for crying out loud.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No,
oof.
Well, good. I'm glad he's enjoying it because they are fun. But, you look at it on the shelf or whatever, how many you can get. But, and you're going down for the Euchre tribute, aren't you?
Yep. Next Sunday.
That ought to be fun. That ought to be fun. I'll tell you, I went all 3 games, and it rained torrential downpour. And I know we got to get to Jake, but a torrential downpour. I've never in all my life been in rain that hard for that long, and it ended up being a foot of rain in Milwaukee in one day. But Sunday, you had all you could do to find a way to get into the stadium. How they got 40-some thousand people parked and in there, I'll never know, because we jogged around and went to the Potawatomi Casino and turned around and came back and finally found a place to park. But we walked over the bridge that goes over the river and over the highway. And the river, everything was floating down there. Benches, chairs,
Jeez.
The neighbor's dog. Maybe the neighbor too. I don't know. But it was unbelievable. And then we walked over where the road is that comes around, and that way we always go in and park over there. There were cars sitting in the middle of the road in the water. Now, they weren't just sitting. There were some of them that were bobbing up and down like a bobber on a fishing line. The water was that deep, and some of these littler cars just floating up and down. By the time the game was over, the water had all drained away. But there they sat. It looked like a demolition derby, the way the cars was in all directions, big cars, little cars, pickup trucks. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Wow. And of course, during the game on Saturday night, you could see where the roof was leaking because there were a lot of places where it was dripping in.
Well, and I saw people were complaining, the roof's leaking. I'm like, but that was a lot of rain, people. And really, those roofs aren't designed to completely keep everything dry. It's a retractable roof. So, there's going to be some gaps in there
some
and such.
Seals and things like that.
But, there's some people on social media complaining about, the roof was leaking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, geez, people. You got a 1,000-year flood rains and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And people are saying, well, they'll cancel the game because people couldn't get there. I said, they're not going to cancel that game if they play before 10 people. They're not going to cancel a game and have the Mets come back to play another game. They got an indoor stadium. That's why they built the stadium, for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was an unbelievable weekend of weather, baseball, excitement. It was best weekend of baseball I've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll get to Mr. Bolks coming up. Thank you for your questions. We'll get those on over to Jake, and he'll be joining us here in just a few minutes. From experience, when I needed quality service and a team I could trust, I went to Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. They've got it all: carpet, luxury vinyl planks, tile, you name it. And it's not just about the huge selection, it's the way their team takes the time to listen to help you find the perfect fit for your style, your needs, and yes, your budget. From the moment you walk in, you feel at ease, and when it's time for installation, Their professionals handle it with care, precision, and respect for your home. If you've been thinking about updating your floors, now's the time. Stop into Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and see for yourself why they're the place people trust for flooring done right. They're located at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire, and you can always check out their website at carpetcitywi.com. Carpet City Flooring Center. They'll floor you with service, selection, and savings.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide, based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
If Old Spice Deep Sea Super Hydration Body Wash were music, what would it sound like? Start with the deep sounds of Old Spice's ocean waves and kelp. Layer on the smooth, renewing moisture. You wouldn't hear any parabens or phthalates because Old Spice Deep Sea hasn't got any. But you would hear that vitamin B3 for healthier looking skin. So while your regular body wash sounds like this, Old Spice sounds like this. Sounds like it smells amazing.
A lot of folks around here are breathing easier because of Grace Home Respiratory. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory is a local company that puts customer service first. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory provides an array of medical equipment, services, and supplies to help their recovery and enhance their quality of life. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory has the experience and qualifications that exceed their expectations. So when you need home medical equipment and services, turn to Grace Home Respiratory not only for the equipment you need, but for their dedicated staff of respiratory therapists who are on call 24 hours a day. To find out more, call Grace Home Respiratory at 715-832-7377 or online at ghr-ec.com.
Grace Home Respiratory always has your health and safety as their top priority. Your expert when it comes to medical equipment and supplies. Choose Grace Home Respiratory. Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, August 15th, with the Chippewa Valley YMCA single and family memberships. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to around715.com.
Hey, nice savings balance. Well done.
Thanks.
What you saving for? New car?
Nah, it's to pay thousands in fines and court costs after I got pulled over for drinking and driving.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you better keep saving.
Yeah.
Drinking and driving can wipe you out in more ways than one. It can hurt or even kill innocent people, drain your bank account, tear your future apart, even take your life. You're smarter than that. This Labor Day, drive sober or get pulled over. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Do you really own your wealth, or are you just borrowing it from Wall Street and big banks? I'm Colin Plume, CEO of Noble Gold Investments, and I believe we're entering in a new economic stage, the asset era. In a world where everything is borrowed, rented, or leveraged, owning real assets has never mattered more. The simplest way to hold your wealth in the physical form, gold and silver. They offer control, stability, and something most investments can't, true ownership. At Noble Gold, we help investors move from paper wealth into solid physical assets like gold and silver. Whether you're protecting your retirement or making your first investment, we'll guide you every step of the way. NobleGoldInvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. NobleGoldInvestments.com, because paper wealth can vanish or be inflated away, but real assets, they last, they protect. And in the asset era, ownership is everything. NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risk. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Broadcasting live from the TDS Sports Talk 105.1 studios, it's the Dan Kasper Show.
When pain or injury slows you down, the team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here to help you get moving again. From sprains and fractures to joint replacements and sports injuries, they offer advanced care tailored to your needs. Their experienced doctors and therapists work with you every step of the way, from diagnosis to recovery, so that you can get back to doing what you love to do. Convenient, compassionate, and focused on results. They're the experts in keeping you active. All right, we're already halfway through the month of August here. Next week's a big week. Deer hunters, those antlerless tags going to be going on sale and such. So let's catch up with our good buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Good morning, Jake. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Hey, because we were talking a little bit about, Bob was talking about he was down in Milwaukee this last weekend with the rain and the floods and such.
Oh, sure.
And we did have somebody who texted in a quick question. Now, I know it's not really kind of in your area and such, but somebody had texted in, what's up with the water levels? I'm 41, and this has probably been the rainiest summer I can ever remember. But we don't get rain for a little over a week, and the Chippewa River is as low as it's ever been. There are parts of the river exposed as I drive over the Main Street Bridge in Chippewa that I would never see exposed when I was a kid. And that was during a lot of the hotter, drier summers of the 90s and early 2000s. Did Excel or the Army Corps of Engineers change their practice? It's not good for fishing at all. That whole river system just continues to decline.
Yeah, so a lot in that one.
Yeah.
Basically, it's been a wet summer, but river levels are low. So the first thing you want to check in with is the dam operator upstream of whatever river it's at. So, at the end of the day, the DNR plays a little bit of a role in dams, but it's more for dam safety. I don't think we have any state-owned dams. And if they are, they're on a state property, and they're very minor, not creating hydroelectric power. We mostly deal with the safety portion. So I can't speak from experience on, talking with dam operators in my profession, but you definitely want to reach out to, XL Energy if they run it, if they're, the main controllers of it, or if it's one of the tribes up north. We're talking about the Chippewa here, so it runs up north through Ladysmith and up there. You want to check with any of those operators, and I'm sure if you go to their website or even gave them a call with general questions on it, they would answer it. But there are, without getting too sciencey on it, there are a lot of other different factors when it comes to rain events and river levels. You got to understand where the rain's falling and which way it's actually flowing, because there's tons of different watersheds, and it might seem like we're getting a lot of water that would flow through Eau Claire, but it could be flowing through the St. Croix, it could be going through the Red Cedar, it could be going through something east of us, the Black River, or further east. So you got to look at where the water totals are going and where it's flowing, as well as different things like, is it just one big rain event where it dumps 6 inches, the water goes up, goes down, and that's it? I've noticed the Chippewa this year in Eau Claire has been relatively low, so I don't disagree with the comment. However, whenever we have these rain events, it seems like it's the river will pump up for a day or two and then it goes right down to as low as it was before, if not further. So that's a contributing factor, is not having these sustained slower rain events. And also, again, not to get into too much science about it, but wetlands do a lot of work for us in controlling water levels and maintaining it and holding it and dumping it into the river slower, which maintain water levels. And there are a lot of wetlands that are in distress between just different habitat management and construction and building. And when you don't have that stuff to hold the water, it can flush it down sewer pipes and just flush it out of the system a lot quicker than it normally would. So there's a lot of contributing factors. I would start with, if you're curious on the dam, I would just Google the dam and see if they have an information line you can contact them with.
Good info there from Jake. Hey, appreciate that. Hey, before we get to some of the deer tags for next week, I saw this story. Cable, Wisconsin, the bear with the jug over its head. Did you hear? So my question to you is, how often do you run into situations like that? And if somebody sees something like that, whether it's a different type of animal with something, maybe stuck on them.
Yeah.
Is it to call the DNR? I know the Wildlife Service was also involved in this, but have you run into situations like that before?
Around here specifically, we haven't had too many animals that are in some sort of conundrum like that. Generally, I end up getting calls about like people see a deer with a collar on it. So clearly someone tried to domesticate a deer at one point and then released it or what. I've dealt with a fair amount of those in my life, which is very illegal. Don't take a fawn and try to make it a pet. But you're right about the wildlife. At the end of the day, that would be like a wildlife department call. And the best thing to do is if you do see an animal like that you think is injured, orphaned, in some sort of distress, like obviously a bucket or container over its head. We have a wildlife hotline now. They call it the wildlife switchboard. It's a number that's monitored all week. It automatically goes to a voicemail because they disseminate it to the specific area that the call comes in with. But if you just Google DNR Wildlife Switchboard, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but the DNR Wildlife Switchboard, if you ever have any animal questions, concerns, issues, call that number, leave a message with your name, phone number, address, and just a brief description of what's going on. And there's someone that works there, listens to the voicemails, and then disseminates it to the local wildlife biologists and such. So that would be the best thing to do is just call that wildlife switchboard number if you ever see or have questions with animals in that situation.
Jake, next week, big week. That's kind of like next week for me is when it kind of kicks in to get into hunting mode. Like it feels like it's coming when we get the antlerless tags available and such. And that begins Monday right away with the forest zones, northern and central. But maybe a good idea because you got a little bit of a change, right? With some of the areas and such. So if you're not familiar, if anybody's not familiar, probably a good idea to check out the deer management zone and units now, right?
Yeah, the GMUs. So it's definitely something you want to take a look at before you jump on to get your bonus tag, because you're going to have to know specific numbers this year. Looking at the list here, August 18th, which should be Monday, right?
Yep.
That's the northern and central forest zone, so that primarily affects us in like Eau Claire County and up in Taylor, stuff like that. So you're definitely going to want to be ready right away Monday morning at 10 a.m. If you're hunting in one of those forest zones, you got to go onto a map and find your DMU. I moved to the state after everything was changed, so I'm not familiar with the historical value, but I think it's pretty similar to what it used to be. But go on there, find out where you're hunting, figure out what zone you're in or unit you're in, and then you'll have to go on there and select your bonus antler list, harvest authorization, or tag specific to that number. And it seems like, there's a fair amount of them with how they're dividing them up, especially on the private lands per usual. Private lands have a ton more than the publics, but they break it down pretty good. There are some DMUs that only have a couple hundred, and there's some that have up in the north that have over 1,000. So you definitely want to be ready right away Monday to try to get those tags.
Yeah, I remember the good old days because I still remember my units. It was either 26 or 24. It was always those numbers. And I know now it's kind of like 114 or 110. They're different numbers back in the day, but kind of similar too. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, like I said, I came here. I'm the old mud duck, trying to learn some of the history as I go through it. But no, that makes sense. So definitely, to your point there, then you can't rely on those numbers. So make sure to get in there this weekend, or at least Monday morning with a cup of coffee. Check out the map online. I Googled it while we're talking here, and it's very simple to find it on our website. Use the links, use the dates, and make sure, if you haven't bought one in a few years, it's really good just to read through this, because it answers some of the questions. Like if you're hunting MFL lands, it says right here, you must have a valid public land antlerless harvest. Some people I get questions on that because it's private land in a public. open to the public, and do I need private? Do I need public? So it has good information here that might answer some of those questions that you have or don't even know you have until you read it.
Mm-hmm. And probably,
Jake,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Jake, I was going to ask because when I started hunting years ago, you bought a tag and you hunted. Now
1800, they say.
Yeah, just about. But now you buy a tag, and I'm sitting here listening. I said, how in the world do you know if you're in the right place to hunt? I mean, you just have to go out in the woods and ask a landowner if you can hunt his land, or if it's public land, you go hunt. And now you got to be in a certain district with a certain tag. What's the philosophy behind that?
The reason for all these DMUs is actually public opinion. So this is what the public has wanted to go back to ever since they got rid of it back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So the main purpose of these DMUs is to manage the deer population based off like the topography and habitat of these DMUs versus based off just a county line border. So a lot of the shape of these deer management units reflect the local, woods, agricultural fields, county land, private land, stuff like that, in a way that makes it easier to manage those units with the amount of doe tags they want to sell or they don't want to sell. It kind of gives the CDACs more power to control individual areas of counties versus just the county as a whole.
And I think, especially because these units are just for mostly, I shouldn't say all, but mostly the northern forest zone and a couple in the central one too. But correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, too, the last couple of years, we started to hear a lot of hunters in the northern zone, especially because it was just all one big group. Well, there wasn't a lot of deer in the northern zone. So they were complaining there was too many tags up there. But you have some maybe in the southern part saying, no, we got plenty. So it kind of broke it back up a little bit like this.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So some of those counties are so big or so long, north and south or east or west, or one part of it could be extremely dense woods with too many wolves, while the other is big agricultural with too many does. So instead of just lumping those two areas into one county, they've broken it into these DMUs that kind of goes along with that topography and gives more opportunity, to your point there, Dan, of either adding more doe tags or restricting more doe tags.
All right. Hey, really quick before I let you go, we had one more text coming in here. Can you duck hunt on the Chippewa River and the city limits, specifically Dell's Pond and north on the Chippewa?
Fall's definitely coming. I get that question a lot. That's how I know fall's coming. So it's a good question. I'm happy to always answer it. The first thing I'd have to say is that the state does not restrict it. So there's no state restrictions besides, discharging within 100 feet, 100 yards, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff. So it's not in my wheelhouse. If it's up to me, you're fine to hunt there as long as you're following the state rules. But the question is, it's all within the city of Eau Claire, and there's an ordinance for discharging. So I talked with the city attorney's office 5-6 years ago, and the city attorney's office allows people to hunt Dell's Pond when they are on the actual islands out in the island, not on the shoreline or anything like that. You have to be out on those islands out there, shooting in a safe manner, hunting in a safe manner, hunting within all the DNR state regulations as well. As long as you hunt safe on those islands, the city's attorney's office has allowed it, but they mentioned that they have the authority to restrict it if they need be based off safety. So I always just tell everyone, you can do it, but just don't ruin it for everyone. Go out there, hunt legal, hunt safe. Don't make any dumb decisions. The best answer, I always say, is either the police department, but sometimes the police department sends them right back to the DNR because, they might not always be aware of the ordinance, their own ordinance, and who can enforce it. Because I can't enforce that ordinance, that discharge ordinance. So it's either talk to the police department or just call the city's attorney's office and just double check with them to make sure nothing's changed. But the last time I talked with the city attorney's office, they allow you to hunt on those islands, not from the shoreline, not anywhere else on the Chippewa within the city limits, but on those islands only.
So if I can't be, just to follow up and that, can I be in
Yeah.
can I be in my boat and shoot from it, or do I have to be on that island?
Well, you could be on your boat. There's not going to be any like open water
Right.
allow because of just like the 500-foot rule and everything on the Chippewa anyway. So you'd have to be within 3 feet. You'd have to follow all the regular rules, be within 3 feet of the shoreline or emergent vegetation, have
Gotcha.
50% of it covered, yada, yada. So you're going to be, on, near/on those islands.
Right.
So it's a really good question. I get it a lot. I totally love answering it. The caveat with it, just kind of like how we started off, and I hate kind of giving these because I don't want to be like that state guy that's always saying it's someone else's thing, but everyone's got their own jurisdiction. At the end of the day, it's a city ordinance, which can only be handled by the city or the police department, the Eau Claire Police Department, and at the end, it's within the city, so it's kind of the city attorney's jurisdiction.
Good question there. I didn't know that either too. So that's kind of
no, it's a great question, and that's why I ran it down years and years ago because I get it so much. And even though it's not in my wheelhouse, I want to try to help everyone and understand it as best we can. Because I don't want it to go away. I want everyone to be safe. I want everyone to have an opportunity. So I give the answer just with the caveat of understanding that it's not my actual decision. I'm just kind of the messenger in this.
Is duck hunting one of those tricky ones too? Because you got to be on the waterways or close to a waterway. If you don't, not all of us have private lakes or anything like that where they can. Is that one of the trickiest ones that you kind of run into, like where people can go hunting and such legally for ducks?
Duck hunting is like deer hunting where, there's a lot of, location is important. I think duck hunters, including myself, you generally default to the water because we all see ducks on the water. But I think any duck hunter would say it's more and more common to see people trying to shoot mallards out in the middle of a cut cornfield or soybean field or something like that. So, I think there's opportunity anywhere for it. A lot of us love to get up early, get on a river, get on a lake, find a nook, set out some decoys, and blast ducks off the water, So it is and it isn't. There's opportunity in all of it, but it seems like water is a little bit more restrictive. Like there's usually houses around there. There's usually boats and other things going on. So I think it just gets a little bit more notoriety or visualization because it's right there where everyone is.
Yeah. He's Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Jake's going to be in studio here coming up in a couple weeks too, as we get closer to bow season and such too. So definitely getting that time of the year.
The questions are turning fallish, but I mean, you can tell, like you said, bow season's coming. The first is the opener of the early teal season and goose season. It's almost here.
It
Crazy.
is, man.
Say it every year. We say it every year. I say it every year. Can't believe we're here, but here we are.
Yep, exactly. All right, dude. Hey, appreciate the time as always, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, you guys have a good one. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. There you go. Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the great state of Wisconsin. We'll take our final break, and we'll pick some baseball games coming up to wrap up this Thursday morning. When your vehicle needs work, there's only one place that you can trust, and that's AJM Automotive in Eau Claire. From oil changes and brake jobs to engine repairs and diagnostics, the team at AJM does it all, and they do it right the first time, too. They're honest, upfront, and treat you like a neighbor, not just another ticket. If you want dependable work at a fair price, just take it over to AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, located at 1919 Brackett Avenue. If you missed any portion of that chat with Jake Boakes, we'll put it up in podcast form later on this morning. Let's wrap up things, though, with some picks, some baseball games going on. We know the Brewers have the off day today, but we do have other games in action. Not a ton, but there's a few. We'll start it off with Seattle taking on Baltimore in Baltimore.
Seattle.
I'll go Seattle as well. How about the Cubbies taking on Toronto in Toronto?
I think I'll take Toronto. Go the Fighting Varshos.
I want Toronto to win. I'm going to go Chicago, though, for this one. Matthew Boyd on the mound. Max Scherzer going for the Blue Jays. So, but hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm jinxing them. Miami versus Cleveland.
I'm going to take Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going to take Cleveland, too. They're playing. They're in the hunt right now for a wild card spot. So
quietly in the hunt.
Yep.
They're not getting talked about at all.
Nope. Philadelphia taking on Washington.
Philadelphia.
Yep, Phillies. Braves and Mets.
Boy, they're two disappointing seasons for those two teams. Boy, where are they playing?
It's in New York.
I'll take the Mets.
I'm going to take the Mets, too. We've got the Tigers and the Twins. Tariq Skubal's on the mound for Detroit, if that matters.
It does matter because it makes my choice very easy.
So you're going Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you, they're putting a good face on it because it's tough. I mean, a lot of the players that were left on that team after that purge at the trading deadline, it's tough to play because the management is telling you, we don't have a chance. We're getting all of our good players. You guys that are cheap, we're keeping you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's frustrating.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going Detroit too. Arizona taking on the Rockies of Colorado.
Arizona.
I'll go Arizona.
Where is that Twins game?
It's in Minnesota. It's a 6:40 game, so if you want to drive over there.
I'm going to say plus or minus 15,000.
I'll say plus. It's a night game.
I hope so.
Go just see Tariq Skubal pitch then.
Yeah.
So that's it for baseball games. That's all we got on the docket here today.
So it's getting to be Thursday night. They must have some NFL preseason games, don't they, tonight?
I don't know if they do tonight. Let me double check. Maybe they do.
Because we get close to the weekend, they like to spread those things out and get them in.
Two tomorrow, but nothing tonight.
Okay.
So nope. A week from today, though, I believe we get our first high school football games.
Yeah, won't be long. I know Memorial playing, according to Joe DeGuano, of course, who helps coach over there, playing at their new stadium at the school. And
so is North.
North has got theirs too. Both schools having their new stadiums. And does North have you seen the North Stadium?
I've seen pictures of it, yeah.
Have they got seats on both sides of the field, or are they all on one side like the Memorial?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Let me look up some of the pictures that I did see, though.
Because I know the Memorial, and I just look at that field that they built. Beautiful field, but I just question whether or not they have enough seats for North Memorial, and when Menominee comes over, these schools travel pretty well, and I don't know if there's.
I know Memorial added more seats this year.
Did they? Good.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it that close, but I hope they do because it looks like a beautiful field, but they can't put seats on that track, so they don't want to ruin the track. So I don't know. I hope they've got enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know they what was that? Oh, no. So, let me see. It looks like it's just the one side for North over there. So, but I don't know how old this photo is. This is from last year, so we'll see. But
how long do you think it'll be before they make sense of this thing in WIAA and put Memorial and North back where they belong?
Oh, I'm sure that the football conferences are going to change every 2 years. It's. I know Brandon's kind of talked about it too. It's going to change every couple years. Nothing will be the same. So.
No, it just doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
When you're all of a sudden Wisconsin Rapids and Stevens Point are here versus some of the traditional rivals of Hudson and different ones.
Texter a little bit earlier. Ron from Bloomer had fun at the Brewers game yesterday. Exciting crowd for the 12th win. Looked like for that game last day game yesterday too. Looked like the stadium was pretty full. So.
I didn't see that. I know on Sunday they had over 40,000 all 3 games against the Mets over the weekend, and I don't know how they got 40. And that was the second Friday. Friday I think was the biggest. It was 43, 44, and about 40, 41 on Saturday. And then on Sunday, they were back to 43,000 fans. I don't know where they all came from, where they all parked.
Mm-hmm.
So, but tribute to the fans, they got there and they support their team.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're at that time they flashed the attendance for the season on there, and it was already 1.86 or 1.87 for the season. So they're going to won't be long. They'll be over 2 million.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Shot clock's going to cut me off in about 30 seconds or so. So, again, if you missed any portion with Jake there, good stuff there, especially with duck hunting. Check it out on our podcast coming up here. So,
all right. And I'll be gone next week, going to go to Alaska. So maybe we'll catch some halibut for you.
That and bring me back some moose.
There you go.
Moose sausage or something.
Well,
so
we'll see what we can find.
All right. Well, safe travels and be safe. And you're going to miss out on the final preseason stuff. I know that's a bummer for you.
No.
So,
well, I'll probably cancel a few tours, just sit in front of a TV
there you go.
I can watch it.
There you go. All right. Have a good rest of your day. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning. Same place, same time, 6 a.m. Chat with you all then.